Hello everyone. Today we discuss some tips for interviews going into 2021. We expect that the pandemic will retreat soon and that the hiring process will start. Some of us are already on the verge of interviews. Some of us may have to wait a little longer, having to take preliminary examinations, group discussions, and then reach the interview. Nevertheless, let us learn to build brick by brick on the aspect of presenting ourselves effectively before the panel of interviewers. It's a new talent economy that we are looking at. Post COVID 19, employers may have different yardsticks to apply. Let's try to look at some. I don't go into the basics because you know the basics. Let us look at a little more advanced. The first attribute which I'd like to leave with you is confidence. It is important for us to have confidence in ourselves. Professor Rosabeth Morse Cantor of the Harvard University says, create the foundation for confidence, and then unexpected people achieve high levels of performance. Maybe you and I may sometimes feel that we don't expect to succeed, but it is quite possible that we reach very high levels of performance. So let's be confident. I'm sorry. The second point I'd like to leave with you is to be confident, I must prepare methodically. The spaceship is launched by the Space Research Organization. After a lot of thought, every micro detail is thought in. Every aspect of the trajectory and the launch are worked and reworked hundreds of times. We must therefore do such methodical preparation for our panel preparation. How do we do that? Start with yourself before a mirror, or get hold of your friends who would criticize you positively. Take their criticisms very positively. If your relatives have the time and the inclination, practice before them. But prepare, read the newspapers, read what is pertinent, read industry information that is relevant to the job. Don't read the irrelevant political aspects of it. Don't read something which makes you more depressing, but read all that is significant for our interview. Prepare a notebook so that Rome is not built in a day, so we could keep a document. If you succeed at the first shot, maybe you could pass it on to some friend of yours. So keep an interview note where you note all the points. So prepare, rehearse well. As I mentioned, even the best of singers will have to practice many times. Embrace discomfort. In the beginning, it is uncomfortable. We are in a zone of discomfort. But that gradually gives way to levels of confidence which bring in a comfort zone by the time we reach the interview panel. Don't go away from the direction of your dreams. Don't pick up a job because somebody else says it's a good job. Don't pick up a job because you underestimate yourself. Pitch your ambition high. Don't go in for a public service commission, state public service commission, thinking that Union Public Service Commission is very difficult. Don't think so. Pitch your direction high. Pursue your dreams positively. But then work yourself to success. If you get a call, or if you are preparing to join a bank, say if you are taking a State Bank of India exam, know about your potential employer, know their balance sheet, know who are the owners. For Reliance, for example, know who are the new investors. For Airtel, know that how are their overseas operations doing well. These type of information which you pick up will reflect at the interview point. EY, for example, publishes a lot of material for general public. Read those. What the moment you are before an EY panel, they would feel happy that you have already read some of these papers. It really pays off. Nobody tests your knowledge at the interview panel because you have a degree or a postgraduate degree where your knowledge is well tested. Then what are they? They are looking at application in the context of their job requirements. So if you are joining Infosys, know about the digital economy, know about business processing and the problems associated with it and the probable solutions. So contextualize your learning in the potential employer perspective. Now let me take you through what I think are the main factors that employers look for, the higher factors according to me. Knowledge on the first hand is already assessed, as I told you. Then we go to what do they look for? Attitudes and attributes. The five major points in attitudes and attributes are: one is the ability. When I say ability, it is the ability to match the requirements or expectations of the employer. Are you able to apply? Are you able to adapt to the environmental changes? If the Infosys job takes you to an overseas location, will you acculturize yourself easily? Will you adapt to difficult circumstances? As for example, now work from home is a difficult situation, but have we adapted fast? So they will test you with situations like those. Be prepared. Can we adjust to the requirements of the job? Maybe in banking, for example, there are longer hours some days required. One cannot throw away work and leave for home early. So you will have to adjust to these job requirements. They look for that flexibility in you. Analytical attribute has become very important in recent times. Data analysis, the abilities to interpret data, big data, all of these analytical aspects, and displaying your abilities to analyze problems and come forth, whether it is a credit analyst in a bank or a data analyst in the digital company, one has to be exhibiting some degree of knowledge in analytical skills, agility. Important for us to react with speed. Speed and accuracy become important objectives of an employee interview panel. So be agile. Don't be excited saying that I must show that I'm very fast, but they expect maturity, but yet quick reactions. On the C factors, I would put 7 items. One is all of us have communication skills, but you'll have to polish those communication skills. You'll have to speak more effectively. You'll have to show your writing abilities. You'll have to show your presentation skills if the job requires it. Be connected to people, to machines, and to events. Be connected to the environment. They look out for that. Questions could come on how you relate to environments. Cheerful is perhaps among the most significant aspects which go into framing the choice of a candidate. Maybe you don't know the answer to all the questions, but be cheerful about it. Maybe they ask you questions which are tough, but that does not mean that they are testing your knowledge, but they are testing your composure. And so, therefore, a smiling face is a silent commendation. Always be cheerful. Even I have known cases where the initial 3 or 4 questions were not answered by the candidate, yet the candidate secured the highest marks in the interviews. Why is that? They're not testing their knowledge, they are testing how well he countenances an adverse environment and he overcomes this. So there will be some good points at a later time, even now, if you don't know the answer. So be cheerful throughout. At least you have gained experience, if not the job. Take it like that. Be cultured in your answers. Don't use jargons. Don't use fillers. Don't use cliches. Try to be as dignified in your answers as possible. Organizations are cultured places to work. So you have to fit into that work culture very positively. So the word guy, don't use during an interview. Use the word person. Be formal throughout. People like formal dress. People like formal responses. Commitment has to be evident. Commitment to work, commitment to punctuality, commitment to undertake responsibilities, commitment to undertake locational transfers. All of these are questions they may ask you. Be ready with a committed answer. Be crisp. Don't beat around the bush. Don't spend long dilatory tactics because you know some answer, just don't keep on prolonging the answer. It must be very short and to the point. Maybe a few seconds to think, maybe a few seconds to introduce, and then a minute perhaps to wind it up. If you're asked a longer question like what ails the Indian economy, you obviously cannot be too short. But obviously you just have some points and then discuss. But don't elaborate unless the board asks you, the panel asks you to elaborate. The final point is that remember they will ask you questions which will seek what benefit the organization has from it. Why should we recruit you? So you'll have to work yourself on the benefits that you will bring forth. Because the company is looking at value. What is that value? B minus C. Benefits minus costs. So if the company has a cost to the company, it naturally looks to contribution from you in benefits. So keep in your SWOT analysis when you do for preparations, keep uppermost the value additions you will make to the company. And that will really pay off. The E factors, according to me, are being efficient and effective. You have knowledge, application of knowledge is effective. You are efficient when you are able to turn out more output with minimum input. And then you must be able to apply effectively. Be entrepreneurial, that is, be innovative. On a daily basis, people like those who are thinking new, thinking out of the box, who have solutions. Not entrepreneurial in a risky sense, but entrepreneurial in a positive sense to take the company to higher heights. So you must show those traits in you, those innovative traits, something which you have done innovatively in college, something which you have done innovatively in your society, or something which you have written innovatively, or some research finding which was different from others. Bring that forth in your interview very skillfully. Be energetic and enthusiastic. It goes as a concomitant, a natural corollary to your cheerfulness. People like to work with energetic people. People like to recruit enthusiastic people because then the environment itself gets charged up. Particularly when there are difficult times, you need enthusiastic people around you. So please be enthusiastic. Engage continuously with the interview. Don't take the interview board as a very formal affair. It is a formal affair, but look to them as elders, more experienced people who are out to recruit you, not to deny you recruitment. So engage with them constructively. Tell the truth. If you know, say, give crisp answers. If you don't know, tell them honestly you don't know. Be environment sensitive. You and I have just seen a more very difficult environment, a turn of events which really went wrong. Now, companies have to survive. Companies have survived world wars. Companies have survived famines. Companies have survived extreme dislocations, economic depressions, recessions. So, environment change, organizations are sensitive and have to be sensitive, but they will overcome and they will seek to recruit. So, for that, what do I do? Know the environment. I'm sorry, know the environment effectively. The if factors. They will ask you questions which will want to see if you are interested. How can I show that or display that I'm interested? By knowing more about the industry, by knowing more about the company. So the research that you have done in your preparations will make you show interest. If you have a solution, that will show interest. Be focused, targeted, nothing more, nothing less. So try to be very focused in the area of operations or the questions that they ask. The M factors are be motivated. They will seek to look for a person who is motivated, self motivated, and a person who can motivate others. So, when you do your SWOT analysis, ask yourself, how can I be more motivated? Or am I already motivated? Bring that forth. Lead the interview panel very sagaciously, very subtly to points that you are strong on. And if you are motivated, tell them that quietly, without exaggerations. Mastery, not just of the application of knowledge that you have had, but of the subject of the industry, the position of the company positively. Be sure that to show that you have learned quite a bit on the environment in which the industry is functioning and the industry in which the company or the organization is functioning. The interviewers look for meaningful answers. They don't want vague, ambiguous answers. Of course, when a question is asked, don't enter into a controversy. If a question is asked, try to be giving both advantages and disadvantages, the pros and the cons. That is meaningful. But don't wade into controversies. If supposing they ask you a question like, what is common between Kerala and West Bengal? What you should give them a good answer would be that fish and curry are common in both states with a little bit of rice. That would take the cheerfulness in you, but I'm not asking you to be trifling with the interview board, but to skirt around any controversy which they are trying to see whether you walk into some controversy. We are not interested in politics. We are not interested in any controversial matter. We are only interested in getting our job. So, therefore, I'd like you to look at that very carefully. When I say membership, every organization assesses whether the interviewee is likely to get into its culture. So the membership of the organization, membership of the industry are all important from a psychological membership point of view. So you'll have to show that you have read about it, that you know, and that you are willing to get into. So if it is a very hard-working culture, you'll have to get into. If it's a hands-on culture, as you know from your reading, then you need to. So if the Japanese look for punctuality, every good company does. But I'm giving you an example. They will never start a minute late. So therefore, you have to be mindful of that. So be mindful of men, machines, and money. Companies are there to make profits. Even charities are there in order to ensure that they don't make losses. Therefore, be conscious of the profit and loss of the income and expenditure statement of the company you are going to be interviewed by. On the R part, be resilient. Look at the pandemic. It's been a shock, economic shock that has come through. It's a medical shock that has translated quickly into a negative figure on the growth side. So how do we come out of it? So be resilient. So if you have your college is closed, you should be in a position to do online without any difficulty. Switch over transition must be immediate. So be how resilient are you? So you have to keep examples of your resilience to answer questions there. Be receptive, listen. At the interview panel, listen. Listen to every question. If they have asked you on your communication skills, prioritize listening skills as among the top because good people listen to others. If you have not, practically, let me also share with you, if you have not heard a question well because of your nervousness, first of all, I advise you never be nervous. If you are confident, you will not be nervous. If you practice, you will not be nervous. But in case you missed out a question or did not comprehend the question, politely requests, very humbly, that could the question be repeated? So be receptive. Well, those are two significant R factor points. The S points, stable. We want mature people. We want balanced people. We want people who can withstand shocks. So, therefore, when you talk to them, when you chat with them, not talk, rather chat with them, you should be in a position to convey that you are a very mature person. Organizations recruit chief executive officers. They don't recruit you at the junior level. They recruit you at the junior level to put you on the escalator to reach the chief executive officer over a time frame. So they expect some degree of maturity and therefore exhibit that. Be a solution provider, don't be a problem creator. I always tell my acquaintances keep your social media foolproof because employers today will search for your presence on the social media, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is Facebook, and see what have you said there. Because that gives an inclination whether you are a solution provider or a problem creator. So be a solution provider. Have a skill set to display readily and naturally. Your online learning would have brought in you. Put forth that in your CV. Put forth that when you speak to the interview panel. That you have absorbed, assimilated new skills like digital marketing, like data analytics skills. What the new talent requires, you should have. Read something about that. Don't, if you have done a short course, don't try to show off as if it's a big course. Because the people who are sitting there are very experienced. They don't like somebody who's trying to take them up the wrong path. So be sure of what you say, but if you are sure, put forth that with confidence. That's a skill set. Be structured in thought. How can I be structured in thought at an interview which is only by you have to review, recall what could be the probable questions 100 times in your mind, even when you walk before the interview. Many days, even as you're walking, rotate in your mind what is likely to be the question, what is likely to be the answer. Don't overload yourself. Have small chunks of information registered in your memory so that you are able to reproduce quickly and tell them in a structured, analytical manner. That pays off. Finally, the V factors, the values that you have, like the integrity, like your hard work, the steadfastness and commitment which you show to duty should come forth in your not exaggerating but naturally come forth. Organizations want to value inspiring people. Organizations are value based organizations. So values in management matter to them. So put forth what you can contribute as values to the peer group and to the organization at large. And finally, be, I'm sorry, have a vision. If the interview board asks you, where do you see yourself 3 years from now or 5 years from now? Have a ready answer. Think about it. Vision is when you are able to see your growth personally along with the organization. So match these two together and prepare an answer for that question and be ready with the answer. Know the designations of that industry or of that organization, the answer. So these are some of the final points. The basic issues you already know, preparations you already would have done. The questions could be structured, it depends. Some people might suddenly ask you very difficult questions to put you off the track. They are trying to see if you will respond in a manner that is becoming of a new recruit. So it's not ragging, but it is that they are trying to put you through a difficult situation to assess your worth, your ability to withstand. So don't be provoked under any circumstances. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.